Hey, how do you phrase? Once you break out of the horizontal patterns, the cage shapes, and you really start moving across the fretboard, not cage shape by cage shape, but really truly horizontal, and you're no longer limited by any vertical playing, then what happens next, as we talked about in the previous video, your whole phrasing capabilities just disappear because you're so used to, being in those vertical shapes. But there's a trick you can use. This video is not about a lot of talk about how to approach this. This is simply an easy thing you can do that will enable you to phrase horizontally really quickly. Like in a couple of days, you'll be comfortable doing this. So let's take a look at it. We have to go close up because I have to show you exactly what happens. You can take your vertical phrasing skills and then expand them so they become horizontal. So let's just look into it. For instance, if you look at the first position minor pentatonic or blues scale shape here in the 12th fret, right, E blues, we got the 12th and the 15th on the two top strings, and then 12 and 14 on the G, on the D, and the A string, and then a minor third again here, 12 and 15 on the low, and then we got the blue note in the 15th fret on the G string, and in the 13th fret on the A string, right? And basically what we learn when we start learning this shape is what can we bend and what can we not bend, right? We know that the top strings, the top notes of the two top strings here are really good at bending. Also the one in the 14th fret on the G string and the one in the 12th fret. But these two up here are not very good because we got a whole minor third, so we have to bend it a minor third up if that is supposed to sound good, or up to the Dorian note there. But so we develop kind of a feel in the hand for where we can bend and where we cannot, where we can do all these things, and we can take that and then apply it to all the other shapes, all the other places on the fretboard. Because if you look at just this little shape here, right, we know that we developed some kind of phrasing skills there, but we have that shape all across the fretboard. But we have to see it as two strings with two minor thirds on it. If I go down to the 5th position, I have the notes in the 10th and 12th on the two top strings and the two low strings, and the middle two strings I have the 9th and the 12th in the 5th position, right? So I got these minor thirds here. Right, and I could do the exact same thing down here. Also up here, I got two whole tone intervals, but because I have a minor third interval on top of that, I know not to bend a half tone or semitone up there, but I can still go. And I also know from the last video, right, that these two notes, or these two pairs of notes are the same as. And that really solves the whole mystery, right? Because it's exactly like being down here on the A and D string. So whatever I can do down here, right, I can do down there as well. Also these two down here, I know that if I use the system from the last video, that these two are the exact same as these. The two middle strings are in the 12th and 14th fret in my first position are the same as these two. So I can use the same phrasing skills I have up here. And the same thing goes for every single place on the fretboard. Also, this is not replicated down here. This shape where I have the minor third, and then I have the whole tone on the next, the E and A string, and then I have the chromatics, or the blue note in between. I have that in the 14th fret on the two middle strings. Right? So it doesn't matter pretty quickly if you always know what combination of two strings and notes you're in because you're using the system we talked about, then it's pretty easy to see what can I do or what can I do. And then you can develop within these little shapes, right? Of which there are very few. So if I can go, if I have different licks or develop different licks for this little shape here, the bottom of the first position blues scale shape, right, I got the middle section of the first position. Right there. And then I got the 2 minor thirds. So in fact, I can play very horizontally. It's the same freaking shapes, right? I got this down here. The 2 top strings or bottom strings would be the first up here in the 17th fret. Then I have these 2 whole tone intervals, which is the same as the middle of the blues scale, right? The two middle strings. Move down, and then I have my 2 minor third intervals. The only thing I then had to add is that I have to move horizontally, and that's what I have to work on. So if I, for instance, I'm playing, right, these notes here are the same notes, but I'm just playing them in different places. So I hope this makes sense to you, that if you start looking at the blues scale, the minor pentatonic scale, as these little pairs of 2 strings that repeats themselves, then it's really easy to do the exact same phrasing in any place on the neck. So the way to really master this is to stick with it, right? Just refrain from playing in your vertical position scale shapes, and then stick with the scale shape you chose now. And then build your ability to phrase like this in a horizontal/vertical manner. That is the key, to stick with it, to make it as comfortable as the vertical shapes. In our program, our new program, we got tons of insights like that, which will enable you to do this very rapidly in the diatonic scale, with arpeggios across the fretboard. So we annihilate the challenge of just being in that comfort zone of playing vertical shapes. And there's just nothing like it. When I started doing this, and when it started being as comfortable as playing horizontally or vertically, then my playing just opened up completely. Plus, it just feels great to suddenly use the whole fretboard with total confidence and really be able to do that. Just look at your hands move up and down like that. Because, you know, that's what we can't do when we learn the scale shapes like that. Nothing wrong with the cage system, but we need to break out of it at some point. So look into the program, but you don't have to sign up for the program to make stuff happen here. Take this seriously. Make a decision to stay horizontal until it's as comfortable as the vertical. See you.